Welcome back to Ozarks Tonight. We are talking about mental health disorders and how people with different mental health disorders may communicate differently. To explore that topic with us, we have Dr. Isabel Bauman from MSU. Dr. Bauman, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
So let's talk about this. I thought this was really interesting because we talk a lot about mental health and understanding different mental health disorders, but you research the way people communicate. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, what I study is how communication changes when someone has a mental health disorder. So, for example, when we communicate and we're talking to each other, you're listening to me and you're making eye contact with me. And I'm talking to you and I'm not making eye contact with you, and that's normal. What would normally happen with eye contact is when I'm speaking, I look someplace else and I kind of check in with you periodically, and when you're listening, you're making pretty steady eye contact with me. In depression, that's reversed. The person who's depressed, when they're listening, they don't make eye contact, they look away. And when they're speaking, they make pretty steady eye contact.
Interesting.
Which is really interesting. We don't know why that is. Now, they also tend to have less eye contact overall. They will tend to not make eye contact, but when they do make eye contact, it's in that pattern. That's something interesting that changes when you have somebody has a mental health disorder. That's a pretty stark change. And it really kind of messes up communication, because you can tell what would happen if you're listening and you're looking at me, and I'm a depressed person and I'm speaking and I'm looking at you when I'm speaking. We're staring at each other, and that gets really uncomfortable really quickly. Whereas if you're speaking to me and you're looking and you're expecting me as a listener to be looking at me, but you're looking away if you're depressed, it feels like you're not interested.
Interesting. Now, what about someone with anxiety? I read something about nonverbal communication, maybe messing with your hair or using your hands or doing something else.
Right. Normal turn-taking cues would be, if I'm talking, I'll gesture, and then when I'm done talking, I put my gestures down. I quit talking and I put my gestures down, and then it's your turn to talk. With somebody with anxiety, when they're talking, they'll play with their hair, and then when they're done talking, they'll play with their hair, they'll play with their clothes. So they have a different kind of gesture that they use. They'll play with their necklace. So they have a different kind of gesture that they use for turn-taking that may not be recognized as a turn-taking gesture.
So once we recognize these things, once we understand that different people will communicate differently, what do we do with this information, and how can it help someone with depression or anxiety, or the other person, whether it's a loved one or a coworker?
Well, the loved one or the coworker can recognize that the person who's depressed, who's looking away, they're looking away not because they're not interested, they're looking away because they're depressed. And so you can, instead of accusing them of being not interested, you can say, oh gosh, are you feeling depressed today?
Or ask them, how are you feeling?
How are you feeling?
And
recognize that. That can help the conversation along. And then recognizing that somebody with anxiety has different turn-taking cues the turn-taking may still be awkward, but you can recognize the reason why it's awkward.
So awareness is step one.
Yeah.
And that will help develop the relationship too, because then you won't avoid talking to that person anymore. You'll understand them better and have those conversations.
Exactly.
Another thing I read too is you also research and talk about how we talk about mental health in general. For example, what we're doing here now.
Right. The biggest thing is we don't talk about it. It's very much a taboo subject. And one of the things that's really important is that we start talking about mental health and mental health disorders. They are a growing problem in the United States. More and more people have mental health disorders. They feel isolated. They feel invisible. It's very much an invisible illness. You can't see when someone is depressed. You can't see when someone has PTSD. You don't necessarily see that in the same way that you would see a broken leg or a broken arm or something like that. It's really important that we start talking about that as a culture as a country, as a family, that we begin having frank conversations about mental health and what it means to be mentally healthy, what it means to be well mentally.
Do you think a lot of times people downplay their mental health in general and think, I'm just stressed, I just need to learn how to deal with this, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we don't talk about it?
It is one of the reasons why we don't talk about it. And another reason is that there's this idea that if I were just stronger, I'd be able to pull myself out of this. But that's just simply not true. Depression is an illness, just like diabetes is an illness. Mm-hmm. And you can't pull yourself out of it. It requires medication. It requires, in some cases, talk therapy. It's an illness.
You said what it means to be mentally healthy. What does it mean to be mentally healthy?
The World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being where you can carry out your job, where you can contribute to the community, feel positive about yourself and your contributions.
Dr. Bauman, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more right here on Ozarks Fox.